Why do some designs stay in your head for years, while others, they disappear instantly? Even when both technically look good, there are posters that some people remember decades later, logos that people feel attached to for their entire childhood, album covers that actually capture a feeling in a way that people can't quite explain. And then there's design that feels like perfectly optimized, or maybe even perfectly polished, and completely forgettable. Today I want to talk about why human-made design feels differently. Not in a doom and gloom, technology is ruining art type of way, because honestly I feel like the conversation is way more nuanced than that. I want to walk through the invisible things that humans leave in design. Things like emotion, memory, imperfection, storytelling, intention. Because once you start noticing these things, you start understanding design on a whole different level. And if you are a designer yourself, maybe this video could help you stop chasing perfection and start creating work that people genuinely connect with. One thing I've noticed recently is design is becoming very efficient. We could do things like generate layouts faster, generate logos faster, make content faster, even do things like brainstorm faster. And honestly, some of these tools, they are impressive. And at the same time, design is starting to feel strangely identical. You know what I mean? We've talked about it many times on this channel. Like the soft gradients, the hyper clean branding, the same floating 3D objects, and ultra safe typography, the same perfectly curated social media graphics. We live in a world where everything looks correct, and yet nothing feels memorable. And I think the reason comes down to something really important. Humans do not create from pure logic. We create from things like emotion, experience, contradiction, maybe even places like culture, loss, curiosity. Maybe from places like things like embarrassment or joy. Human design carries fingerprints from actual life, and that changes everything. One of the biggest differences is that human-made design is intentional decision-making. A human designer might do something like choose a typeface because it reminds them of a train station signage from their hometown, or even use rough textures because it's a project about grief, memory, or nostalgia, or maybe even intentionally break the alignment rules because the project is supposed to feel uncomfortable. Those choices are not random. It comes from lived experience. And that's something I feel like beginners sometimes misunderstand about design. Good design isn't just about arranging things effectively. It's about translating feelings into visuals. That is why two designers could get the exact same brief and come up with two completely different outcomes. Because each person brings their own internal world to their work. Inspiration, cultures, fear, obsessions. That is why some of the most iconic designs in history feel timeless. Not because they were trendy, but because they communicated something that is deeply human. And honestly, people are very good at sensing authenticity, even if they can't explain it technically. This is one of my favorite things about design. Sometimes, the very thing that makes a piece feel so powerful is the imperfect part of the design. Think about things like hand lettering, tiny inconsistency, pressure changes. It might even be the uneven spacing. Those imperfections tell the brain a real person touched this. It's the same thing with film photography. Technically, digital cameras are often sharper, but people still love film because it carries texture, grain, unpredictability, mood. It feels human. And honestly, I feel like people are starving for things that feel human right now. We are surrounded by polished content all day long. Algorithms that optimize everything. Brands that optimize everything. Even the creators these days optimize everything. And after a while, I say it all the time, perfect becomes invisible, whereas imperfection, it interrupts us. It makes us pay attention. That is why things like rough sketches could feel more exciting than the finalized version. You could still see the thinking. You could feel the person behind it. And my baby designers definitely need to hear this. Your goal is not to remove every single trace of yourself from your work. Your goal is to communicate your vision through it. Because sometimes your weirdness, your unusual influence, your emotional perspective, those are the things that people actually connect to. One reason that I think human-made design feels different is because humans naturally like to tell stories. even subconsciously. When we are designing, we are constantly making emotional associations. This color feels lonely. This layout, it feels a little tense. That texture, it feels nostalgic. That spacing, it feels very calm. Design is visual psychology, but it is also visual storytelling. And storytelling requires understanding of the human emotion. That's hard to fake. For example, think about a poster for a punk concert. If it's too clean, too corporate, too mathematically perfect, it loses the spirit of the music. Design, it has to embody the energy. And that is what great designers do. They don't just decorate information, they translate the atmosphere. And honestly, that's one of the things that made me fall in love with design in the first place. Design isn't just software skills, it is observation skills. It is all about learning how humans react to color, shape, symbolism, contrast. It is about learning how emotion could exist visually. And that right there, that's magic to me. Okay, I know soul could sound very dramatic, but stay with me for a second. You could always tell when someone deeply cared about making something. Not because it's flawless, but because you could see the intention everywhere. The thoughtful details, the unexpected choices, the emotional honesty. And people always remember that. Sometimes baby designers, they feel like professional work means that you have to be emotionally detached. But honestly, some of the best designs come from those who care deeply about their design work. From curiosity to experimentation, even obsession, human-made work, it often carries evidence of processes, little signs of exploration. That is why process videos are so satisfying to watch. People love seeing sketches, iterations, mistakes, because those processes, they remind us that a human made this. Not a machine, not an algorithm, a person. And I think that's something that matters more now than ever, because the more that visuals become automated, the human perspective becomes more valuable, not less. Designers that stand out in the future, they're probably not going to be the ones making the technically perfect work. It will be the people with the strongest point of view, the strongest taste, the strongest emotional understanding, the people who make others feel something. Now, to be very clear, this video isn't about rejecting technology. Design tools evolve like they always have. People once feared that digital art would destroy traditional art. Then people feared that photography would destroy painting. But humans adapt. The real question isn't, will technology replace creativity? The real question is, what part of creativity is uniquely human? And to me, the answer is meaning, interpretation, emotion, taste. Context, story, empathy. Tools could generate an image, but as humans, we generate perspective. And that distinction is so important because your value as a designer, it was never to click buttons inside software. Your value is how you see the world. And honestly, that should be very encouraging to you. Even if you are someone who feels intimidated right now, you do not need to become a creativity machine. You do not need to produce endless streams of polished content. The work that people remember the most is the work that feels honest. I think human-made design feels different because humans are complicated. We carry things like memories into our work. Sometimes we carry pain into our work. We carry things like humor, culture, nostalgia, all of it, whether people consciously realize it or not. The viewer could feel all those things. And that is why certain designs will stay with us for years. Not because they were perfect, but because they made us feel understood. So if you're a designer watching this, don't be afraid of your perspective. Study the fundamentals, learn the technical skills. I have videos on this channel. But don't erase the thing that makes you you in the process. Because design isn't just about making things look good. It's about communicating something real to another human being. And honestly, your human perspective, it is probably the most valuable skill of all. If this video connected with you, let me know in the comments. Do you have a piece of art or design that feels deeply human to you? I would genuinely love to hear your answer. And if you enjoy conversations about art, design, or creativity, go ahead and feel free to subscribe to my channel because I make videos just like this every single week. But that's all I have for you right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!